Alright, we back. Y'all requested it, and I made another one. If you haven't seen the previous video, please go back and watch it. So, let's get right into it. Alright, we're gonna start off the list with Victor Zsasz. Real quick, for anyone who isn't familiar with the character, Victor Zsasz, aka Mr. Zsasz, is a well-known serial killer in Batman's Rogues Gallery. With a body count of roughly 300 to 500, he first appeared in Batman Shadow of the Bat issue number 1 and is seen on TV shows like Gotham and other forms of media. Zsasz is infamous for his appearance as he cuts himself every time he gets a kill to keep track, similar to Killmonger in Black Panther. Now I really wanted to put Ted Bundy or Jeffrey Dahmer as his counterpart just because they're really well known and of course for my own bias, but that wouldn't be fair on you guys and it wouldn't actually be accurate. Victor Zsasz's historically accurate counterpart is actually Richard Ramirez, aka the Night Stalker. He was a serial killer, rapist, pedophile, and proud Satanist who murdered at least 13 people in California around 1984 to 1985. He was convicted and sentenced to death but died while he was in prison. And yes, I did say Satanist. Don't believe me? Well, according to CNN, his last words before dying were, "I am beyond good and evil. I will be avenged. Lucifer dwells in us all." Real quick, do you remember that Netflix serial killer documentary that came out a little while ago and everyone was going crazy about it? Yeah, he was the guy it was based off. I'm picking Richard Ramirez based on 3 things. 1, they both use markings and symbols. Similar to Zsasz tracking his kills by cutting himself, Richard Ramirez actually often draws pentagrams at the crime scenes or on his victims after committing murders. This became a signature element of his crime, linking them to his self-proclaimed satanic beliefs. Number 2, rituals and motives. Zsasz believes by killing his victims, he's actually saving them from living this pointless life, according to him, making his murders almost like a ritual. Now, in the same light, Ramirez reportedly performs verbal rituals during some of his attacks. He would utter phrases and invoke Satan's name, adding a ritualistic element to his crimes. They both have the same motives. They only kill just to kill, not for money, status, fame, or power. They're just hungry to kill, I guess. Thirdly, sadistical nature and distorted psychology. We can comfortably classify Victor Zsasz and Richard Ramirez as sadists because they both enjoyed torturing their victims. Now, both characters' past traumas and events has shaped their worldview. This is evident with Zsasz's nihilism, which stems from him losing all his fortune from gambling. On the other hand, Ramirez was abused by his father and witnessed some ungodly things, like watching his cousin offing his wife. I'm not trying to defend the guy, but yeah, that's a messed up thing to go through. But anyways, for those reasons, that is why I think Ramirez is the perfect counterpart for Victor Zsasz. Moving on to the Riddler. Now, I'm not gonna lie, this one was tricky. I was torn between Jack the Ripper and the Zodiac Killer. But in this case, I'm gonna give the nod to the Zodiac Killer. After seeing that pencil drawing, who knows, maybe I'll give Jack the Ripper a chance next time. I mean, he would make a strong candidate for Hush, but anyways. Now, if you're not familiar with the Zodiac Killer, he was an American serial killer who murdered at least 5 people in California between 1968 and 1969. What makes him stand out is he was never caught and his identity is unknown till this day, which adds a mysterious aura around him and a sense of invincibility. Now, I'm picking him to be Riddler's counterpart based on 2 things: the use of riddles and symbols. The Zodiac Killer infamously sent ciphers and letters to the media and police. Now, his murders were subject to intense investigation and media coverage, particularly because of the killer's taunting letters to the newspaper and phone calls to the police. His letters, sent from 1969 to 1974, were signed with a symbol resembling the crosshairs of a gun sight, and typically began with the phrase, "This is the Zodiac speaking." Does that sound familiar? Okay, well, in those letters, he left 4 ciphers or cryptograms so the police can decode them, hopefully bringing them closer to catching him, right? Yeah, about that. Anyways, one cipher was finally decoded in 2020, and the message left behind was, "I hope you're having lots of fun in trying to catch me." Bruh. It's clear that both the Riddler and the Zodiac Killer enjoy toying and taunting their opponents, whether it's Batman or the police, and both leave calling cards to let people know exactly who's responsible. The Riddler with the question mark, and the Zodiac Killer with the crosshair. For those reasons, they're a match made in heaven. Finally, Azrael. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Azrael is an anti-hero. He's not a villain. Didn't he take up the mantle of Batman? Well, you are correct in saying that, but in some canons, the dude is a straight up villain. But I'm not gonna lie, I'm forcing him on this list just because I love his character, okay? Don't shoot me. Alright, just for anyone who isn't aware, Azrael is a religious extremist with homicidal tendencies, who often opposes Batman. And it was a struggle picking one person as his counterpart, just cause he has some aspects of various historical figures like Baldwin IV, Richard the Lionheart, and other kings from the Crusades. While no single person perfectly encapsulates Azrael, I still gotta pick for the vid, you know? So I'm gonna go with Richard the Lionheart for 3 reasons. Firstly, religious extremism. Both characters had unwavering faith and did heinous acts in the name of their religion. In the case of Richard, he spent little time in England during his reign as king. Rather than planning for the future of the English monarchy, he put everything up for sale to fund the crusade that he would lead, which would cause many deaths, all for the sake of his faith. In a similar light, Azrael does not share Batman's no-kill rule and doesn't shy away from offing criminals, and does whatever is asked from him from the Order. Again, all for the sake of his faith. Secondly, is because of the outfits. I mean, it's self-explanatory. Azrael got the Crusader drip. Both characters are seen wearing outfits that display a cross as a symbol of their faith, which makes sense because, I mean, I think that's what Azrael's based off, like a Crusader or a Knight Templar. And finally, religious group association. Both figures were a part or associated with a religious group. For Richard the Lionheart, it was the Knight Templars, which was a religious military order of the knighthood established at the time of the Crusades. And for Azrael, it was the Order of Saint Dumas, who were responsible for training Azrael. They were pretty much DC's versions of the Knight Templars. And for these reasons, that's why Azrael would be Richard Lionheart. If you made it to end, thank you so much, for real. I had a lot of fun making these videos, and it seems like you guys, based off the feedback of the last video, now I'm done picking all my favorites. So if you guys want more videos, they're gonna be based on the heroes. I mean, it's gonna be based on the villains you want, because I already did all my favorites. I'm more than happy to keep continuing because it's just so fun looking through, doing research. So yeah, if you guys have any feedback, or if you want to see particular villains that you want me to do videos on, I'll definitely do it. I saw a couple of comments on the last videos with suggestions. I'll definitely get to working on them for sure. But yeah, once again, man, thanks for tuning in, and yeah, let's keep this going. Stay safe.